Where's all the powder at? Well, we're going to answer that with Hodgdon Powder's Aaron Oelger right now. All right, welcome Gun Talk Hunters. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm your host, KJ. Today, we are talking about powder. Why is it important? Well, because that's what makes stuff go bang and sends that projectile downrange to your intended target. And with me is Hodgdon Powder's Aaron Oelger. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Well, I'm doing good. We just got done talking about how hot it is both in Kansas and in Louisiana, which is not a surprise this time of year, but we are coming up on some hunting seasons. This Gun Talk Hunt is brought to you by ATN, the future of optics, and Silencer Central, Silence Delivered. Well, we thank them for their sponsorship, and I love Silencer Central because, man, it muffles that noise so much, and I don't have to take ears into the field. However, man, when you head out in the field, powder, that's important. And guys, the powder situation for me is real. And I wanted to bring Aaron in just to talk about some issues dealing with powder, some different options. We'll get into a lot of different topics, I'm sure, because I've got a couple off the top of my head that I know Aaron deals with quite a bit. But Aaron, how you been, man?
And I'm doing great. You're right. It is absolutely a scorcher in Kansas. It's going to be over 100 degrees today, and I've got to go work on food plots this weekend. So I'm not really looking forward to doing manual labor in 100-degree heat. But cool days are going to be here again in about we're 90 days out, I guess. So
roughly 90.
A lot of work to be done.
There's roughly 90 days out, but so what do you see? Super hot summers, and I can remember vividly. Quite a few years ago in Oklahoma doing the same thing you were. And I think the temperatures were, scorching. The heat index was somewhere around 117 to 120 when I was out, plowing up fields and mowing grass. What do you see in the deer doing? Do you notice a change, or just when cooler weather happens, they just show up?
I actually see a lot of deer moving in the last 30 days. So I live in kind of a rural area outside of Kansas City on a little bit of acreage. I have farms that I hunt a couple hours east of here. I hunt about 4 hours over in western Kansas. So I watch deer quite a bit. And over the last 30 days, I've seen a lot of deer moving. I mean, it's what you'd expect. They're moving really early and really late. But, I leave my house at 5:30, 5:45 in the morning, and I always see deer in the fields around my home. So if you're somebody like me who lives and breathes a white-tailed deer hunting, that's a pretty good sight to see.
Oh yeah, it's encouraging, but it's inevitable. Those deer are gonna, they move. So don't get discouraged. I think that's one of the biggest things I deal with and dealt with very, very early on. When I was in my early 20s and late teens, I would see deer, and then all of a sudden they disappear. Like I'd see them consistently. And almost always. I mean, Aaron, I know you deal with this. Almost always you'll get a deer on camera that you're really excited about, and you sit there and you watch him all summer. He's there. Hunting season turns on, and all of a sudden he's gone.
Yeah, we see that a lot. The farms that I hunt mostly in mid-Missouri are like that. We definitely see deer all summer long. We've got trail cameras out. We're watching them, and we call it the shift. And at some point, near the end of October, all the deer shift, and then you have brand new deer showing up. So it's kind of like Christmas at the end of October, if you will. It's a fun time.
It's Christmas all over again, because you get Christmas in those June and July when you start seeing a buck, and then all of a sudden you get a new one. So it's just like you're opening up a new present. Let's talk a little bit powders. Let's talk about Hodgdon powders and give a rundown of the laundry list of powders that you guys kind of offer as a kind of a broad spectrum, because I don't think a lot of people understand like how big Hodgdon really is.
Sure. And I would say, and I'll expound on this a little bit, I would say that we're big and we're small, right? So if you think about smokeless powder, and most people, when they think of Hodgdon, think of smokeless powder, because that's really where our heritage is. If you think about smokeless powder, they think about Hodgdon, which is certainly our premier brand. It is our flagship brand that we own. But over the last 20 years or so, last couple of decades, we've purchased and licensed some other brands. So we now have Hodgdon, we have IMR, we own Accurate and Ramshot, so all smokeless brands. Plus, we license the Winchester smokeless brand and distribute that. So we have 5 smokeless brands that I manage. And then if you think about, we've really been one of the chief innovators in the muzzleloading space. So we really created the black powder substitute with Pyrodex.
Yeah.
Then we created the pellet market. And so if you think about Pyrodex, 777, IMR White Hots, and then Blackhorn 209, those are all brands that I manage as well. So in that instance, I mean, you think about Hodgdon, we own a lot of the smokeless space, and we own almost all of the muzzleloader space. And that's a really great place to be as a marketer, right? And and that makes my job a lot of fun. But then, I think about our office. I work in the Kansas City headquarters office for Hodgdon, and there are 15 employees here, right? We have a facility out in central Kansas, which is a production and packaging facility, and then we own another distribution center up in Montana. But all in all, we have less than 100 employees at Hodgdon. So while we own a lot of the market and we do a lot. It's just interesting that we're a very small business. We're still owned by the Hodgdon family. I see Bob and JB Hodgdon almost every day. I see Chris Hodgdon coming and going. So we're a really great small business success story that is all due to the Hodgdon family and what they've done over the last 75 years. So it's an interesting place to work. It's the greatest place that I've ever worked. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work to keep all those brands balanced and get the messaging out the right way.
Oh, I can't imagine how much you guys have to deal with. It's a lot like what Gun Talk Media does. I mean, we're a small but mighty team. Everybody kind of pitches in where it's needed. And I think for a successful business, that's kind of where you have to go. I mean, you have to be willing to, schlep boxes if you need to, or sweep floors if you need to, or jump in and help with marketing ideas wherever you needed. And that's cool to see that you guys are able to do that and develop that as a team.
Yeah, one of our company values is nobody can say that's not my job. So literally, it's all of our jobs, right? And that's really easy with marketing because everybody wants to be a marketer and everybody has marketing ideas that they love to share. So I'm always excited to hear those from folks. But in all seriousness, we do wear an awful lot of hats. We're a small business, and that's what you do. But like I said, this is the greatest place I've ever worked. I've been here for 7 years. I've been a part of the industry for nearly 2 decades, and I really like Hodgdon and the Hodgdon family. They're really good people.
Yeah. So let's kind of talk about some of the powders that are kind of hot right now. What are you hearing? What is most in demand for these reloaders out there?
Sure. Right now, it continues to be. We've really seen a migration over the last 5 or 6 years as people really migrated to the sport of precision long range shooting. And that really drives a lot of our business. So it's not that shot, shell, or pistol is not important. It is. But if you look at really what is in high demand and what are people asking for, it really comes down to the long distance precision shooting, if you will. So those are certainly the powders that people want are really in that Hodgdon Extreme line. So the big 4 are going to be 4350, Varget, H1000, Retumbo. The last 2 powders really for people that are shooting bigger cartridges at extremely long distance. So those continue to be in strong demand. Under the Hodgdon CFE, we have CFE family of CFE pistol and CFE 223. Those are very high in demand powders. We just brought on board Accurate and Ramshot in 2020, and we've been very pleased with the demand that we've been able to manage through those 2 brands. We've gotten a lot better distribution, gotten those powders out in a lot more places so that people can find them. So that's been good. I think the next thing is we introduced a new powder under the Winchester line, the Winchester Stayball 6.5. I mean, as well as I do, everybody wants to shoot the 6.5 Creedmoor, the 6 Creedmoor, the 6 GT, what have you. And so we came out with this burn speed powder into the Winchester Stayball line. And that's just been a really popular seller over the last couple of years since we introduced it. And then I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Blackhorn 209. So I get calls every single day about where is Blackhorn 209 and where can I find it? Where can I buy it? So that's something that customers want. There's a lot of demand for it. If you're interested, I'll be happy to expound on that a little bit. But
Oh yeah.
Blackhorn 209 is probably the thing that's most in demand right now.
Blackhorn 209, and I've got some. That's one of the ones that you listed that I'm like, ooh, I have that in abundance. But that's all for my black powder hunting and my muzzleloader hunting. Um, but I do have an inside line on Stayball 6.5, and it's not Aaron. I have a local shop. I'm not going to tell you where I'm at. You probably know where I'm at if you're listening to this, but a local shop that they have Stayball 6.5 and no one is buying it. And I go in there every time I go in there, I'll take one. I'll take one. So I'm kind of
Sure.
stockpiling that. Um, but it's it's a screamer. I love Stayball 6.5 right now.
Yeah, the thing about Stable is it is a temp stable powder, and so it's gonna work well no matter what temperature you're shooting it at. And another really nice feature that it has is it's a ball powder.
Yeah.
So if you're loading in a progressive press, it's super easy to set up and get going and replicate. And for somebody like me, that has been a godsend. I've really enjoyed loading that powder over the last couple of years. That's something that really works.
Yeah, and I mean, one of a good friend of mine, Jared Grove, who I'm sure you're probably
Sure.
familiar with. Man, they Frankfurt Arsenal, they've got a new progressive coming out that I'm kind of excited to try out, and that's what I was thinking. I was thinking Stayball 6.5, and I could start kind of mass producing my 6.5 ammo or 6 millimeter. I've been starting to shoot that. I just got a new gun on that realm that I'll talk about at some other point, but I mean, it's all good stuff, and it's good to see people getting into it. Um, on the other side of this break, I'm going to take a quick break here. We're going to talk a little bit more about where the powder is and what's the best way to go find it. All right, we'd like to thank our sponsors, ATN. As always, if you're looking for night vision, let's talk a little bit about night vision and why you would choose it. Well, ATN offers a full line of night vision that is plenty capable out to beyond 100 yards. And I think that's where a lot of the hangup is. They think, well, night vision, you're not going to get as much power as you would a thermal. Well, those are two different creatures, okay? With what ATN's doing right now with night vision, it pops off the screen of the optic. And I would highly recommend you looking at them. But that's why you would choose it. You want that subtle, that infrared out there. Maybe you can't afford the high-end expensive thermal units, but maybe you can get into night vision. And I'm telling you, hunting at night changes the game, especially when you're going after those hogs, those creatures of the night, that you need to stop from maybe damaging crops. That would be a great option and a great way to alleviate your headache. So for more night vision options, check out atncorp.com. Sig Sauer, Sig Sauer, they launched a new 10 millimeter pistol. We've got one here in the office, and I really love it. It's 5-inch. It's super accurate. It's got all the bells and whistles that you would expect from a Sig Sauer firearm. But I want to talk to you about the Cross, and I talk about this because this is their hunting platform. They just launched a precision version of the Sig Cross, which, if precision's your game, that is it. Like it is the berries. But the Sig Sauer Cross for hunting platforms is available in 308, 277 Sig Fury, and 6.5 Creedmoor, which is a favorite of mine, and I know some people will call it a man bun gun, but I love it. Find out more at sigsauer.com. And Silencer Central, silence delivered. That is their motto, and they scream it from the mountaintops because you know what? They send a suppressor to your door. Now, that's going through all the correct channels, but you can do it from the comforts of your own home. And I think that's the most important thing. It's the convenience of what Silencer Central offers. So why is it convenient? Well, you can do it from your home. You can do it from the comforts of your own confines. They send you the fingerprint kit. They send you the photo image instructions of what they need, and they manage the trust for the entirety of his existence. So you don't have to worry about it. And they make setting up a trust simple. So, and with a new 90-day, waiting period or whatever from the authorities, you can get it pretty quick. much quicker than you used to, all with their e-forms. But find out more at silencercentral.com. All right, I'm back with Aaron Oelger of Hodgdon Powder. Aaron, on the front half of it, we kind of talked about what Hodgdon Powders offers and what you guys have available and kind of the hot powders. We also talked a little bit about what deer are doing right now during the season, because you and I, we're big time whitetail guys. Like that's kind of our central focus. But let's talk a little bit about where the powder is. So can you say where the powder is, or are you hiding it all for yourself?
I can. So, contrary to internet rumor, it is not in our warehouses. I certainly wish it was in our warehouses because then I could ship a lot more of it. But the reality is, our warehouse is practically empty. When I look at our inventory reports right now, we're at our lowest inventory point in the 7 years that I've been here. So, that can be a little bit frustrating. I'm responsible for not just marketing, but also sales. And as a sales guy, I want to sell powder. So When customers call me and want to buy powder, I want to sell it. But the reality is we're shipping more powder than ever. 17, 18, 19, we're a little bit slow as an industry for us. But since 2020, we've shipped way more powder in 2020 than we did in 19. We shipped even more powder in 21 than we did in 20. And we're on track to set a record this year for powder sales. We're just shipping an awful lot of powder every day. So when you ask, where's the powder? It's not in our warehouse. It's almost a cross-dock operation at this point, right? So as soon as we get powder, we package it and it goes right out the door to consumers and to retailers and dealers and wholesalers. So if I'm looking for powder right now, I'm going to all of the places that you would expect, right? So if I'm looking for it in person, I'm going to go to Bass Pro, Cabela's, a Sportsman's Warehouse, a Shields. If I'm looking online, I'm going to go look at Brownells or Midway or Powder Valley or Mid-South Shooter Supply. There's a lot of places that still have powder. And I can tell you, we sell a little bit of powder on Hodgdon's website. I was getting a call several years ago from consumers who are always asking, hey, where can I get this specific powder? I can't find it at my local retailer. I got enough of those calls that I decided, I'll put some out on my website so that consumers can buy direct. And I've been doing that the last 2 years. And so we're going to carry just about everything on our website. But even it's hard for me to keep that in stock, right? Because I want to treat my customers first. I have a lot of retailers and dealers that we've sold for 75 years, and I don't want to prioritize me over them. So I prioritize them first. But if you're looking for something in specific, I would check the Hodgdon.com website. We're going to have a lot out there. But again, there's a lot of places that have powder. We're shipping it regularly. I would get on those websites. If you're looking for a specific powder, I'd look for a Brownells or a Midway, and I'd get that notification flag lit up so that when they do get powder in stock, you're going to get an email and you can purchase it.
Yeah. Just an important kind of FYI and a PSA for folks. There are, go to reputable sites, sites that, you trust. It's the Powder Valley, it's the Brownells, it's sites like that, because I went on and I will tell you guys this. Hey, email kj@guntalk.com if you have small rifle primers, because that's what I'm hurting for right now. Primers in general, that's a whole other topic. But I went on to one of these websites and I was like, you Google or, DuckDuckGo, small rifle primers, and, some websites come up and a few you don't really recognize, but you're like, ooh, I wonder if, they say they have them in stock and it's $100 for 1,000 of them. And, it seems too good to be true. Like, how am I the only one? Am I the only one at this hour of the day, like clicking on that link and finding them? It doesn't work like that. Like, go on reputable sites, because I got to the point of, I was about to hit purchase, and they were going to but then they asked for Venmo payment or Apple Pay or something along those lines, whatever app you use, they would accept that. And I had someone from that site contact me to say, hey, you haven't paid for this yet. Do you want us to ship it? Like, they texted me. So, and I was like, wait, hold on. No reputable person is going to do that. And they were very pushy about it too. So, I did the, report them and say, hey, this isn't right. Sure enough, it wasn't right. It was a scam. It was a fraud. So just make sure you're visiting Hodgdon or Midway or someone that isn't going to scam you.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, KJ. So that is of an issue that we've really been facing over the last year. As the demand in powder increased, we've seen a lot of people coming out of the woodwork trying to offer, and when I say offer, I mean offer
Yeah.
powder and primers and things like that. We've even seen a lot of straight out theft. So we've seen bad actors who scrape our site of all of our pictures and descriptions and everything, and they'll start another website called HodgdonReloadingCompany.com,
Oh my
and
gosh.
they'll attempt to sell like that. And when you get through the process, you can only submit payment through Zelle or Venmo
Yeah.
or PayPal personal or something like that. And then these people call us and they say, hey, I ordered powder from you several weeks ago. And we say that wasn't us, right? So we're doing everything we can to get the word out. We have our lawyers engaged on that, but the problem is, as soon as you get a site shut down, they spring up again.
Yep.
I've actually called some of them and asked them, because I had the same situation as you did, put powder in my cart, and then they reached out to me via text message. I asked them for a phone number and I called them. It was pretty entertaining. It was an individual that was speaking with a very heavy accent, and you could hear chickens in the background. So I'm sure he was in his office, right? But it was just a very awkward conversation. Clearly, that is not Hodgdon. We would never ask anybody for anything besides a real credit card.
And you wouldn't keep chickens in your office.
And we do not keep chickens in our office. We do keep dogs. I mean, we have hunting dogs roaming around our office on a regular basis, but no chickens here.
Yeah. So that's a CYA, guys. Like you've got to go to these reputable sites or stores. Man, if you can sweet talk your buddy out of some pounds, do that. Whatever you got. But no, it is hard to find it right now. But I kind of liken it to what happened in 2019, 2020. We drew out for Wyoming hunt every year. You could put in for this unit, and it was like, I'm getting drawn. But 2020 happened, and all of a sudden you see everybody going, oh my gosh, I need to be self-sustaining. I need to get back into hunting. I need to start hunting. And now you have a giant influx of people into those systems, and so which causes your point creeps and stuff like that. And now all of a sudden you've got so many people entering these draws that the points go up, and it makes it harder to achieve those points. And I think we're seeing the same thing in reloading and in shooting in general. So the tags are the same. You have the same amount of tags, and they're not going to increase it because of conservation, but Hodgdon is actually increasing the amount. But we have so many more people shooting, so many more people buying ammo. It just seems like that's a good correlation right there, just to get it in people's minds that we just have more people doing this stuff.
We do. And this is clearly a demand issue, not a supply issue. Like I said before, we're shipping way more powder today than we were 4 years ago. The issue really is demand. And, we're a small business. We've ramped up. We have a lot of great employees who've been working straight overtime for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So every single week they're working overtime trying to maximize the amount of powder that's going out. And we're grateful for those employees, but still, when you have the kind of demand like we're seeing, you just cannot catch the demand. We're shipping as much as we can, as quickly as we can.
Yeah. It's the nature of the beast. That's the way it is.
But I will say that normal times will come again, right? And this is probably the fourth or fifth demand, season like this that we've seen over the last 20 or 25 years.
Yeah.
Normal times will come again. And every time this happens, people say, this is the last time. I'm never going to run out of bullets or primers again. But then normal times come and they're like, well, I don't need to buy them.
Right.
I think I can find them anytime.
I've got time. And Tom, Tom Gresham, he talks about that all the time. He says, I can't help you anymore. I told you when to buy and you didn't do it. And that's just, man, when the stocks are low, that's when you start to buy. You just stockpile,
absolutely,
right? I mean, it's just a demand thing, guys. So what do you got coming up? I mean, I know muzzleloader season's coming up, and we talked a little bit about Blackhorn 209 and how it's just that time of the year when guys start to think about that.
It is. So Blackhorn 209, we do have a limited supply that we're releasing every week. As soon as we get it packaged, we're releasing it on our website. So for consumers who are wanting Blackhorn, I'd be watching, shop.hodgdon.com. I'd be looking at that every week. But I'm getting ready for muzzleloader season. I probably am not going to Kansas this year. Kansas has an early season for muzzleloader. I don't think I'm going to make that this year due to a couple of other things. Instead, I'm going to Canada on a moose hunt with some friends.
Oh, darn.
So I'm going to be getting ready for a rifle hunt in Canada for moose. And I've put off doing this trip for 8 or 9 years now. So I'm excited to go. And then after that, this season will be a very different whitetail season for me. So my wife, I've been married for 30 years, and I've always wanted my wife to get involved and hunt with me. And this is the year that she is hunting with me. So my whitetail season will be mostly in my home state of Missouri. I may make a trip or two into Kansas, but we'll mostly be in Missouri. And mostly what I'm focused on is getting my wife a big deer this year. So that's going to be where my almost sole focus is. And this is going to be my best whitetail season ever.
Man, it's good to hear you say that, because so much, like, I think I've seen a shift in my hunting as well, where I'm focused on my kids. And it's so good to hear you say that, because too many times I hear hunters, well, I didn't get, well, it's always seems to be focused on ourselves. And it's nice to hear someone who's actually taking it upon themselves to, like, you know what, my wife's the focus, or my kids are the focus. And I guess that's kind of a step in a hunter's maturation, or I don't know.
Yeah, my wife would tell you I'm not mature at all, so I'm not sure that
But
fits.
it is, and I think you are. I think in that step, you're sacrificing, man. You're sacrificing the potential to kill a Boone and Crockett animal, or get more meat for the freezer, or whatever your intentions are that season. I think that is a sign of maturity.
Well, we'll see. I can tell you that I'm looking forward to this season more than anything that I have the last couple of decades.
Now,
this will be fun.
I will say, if that big buck walks out and you say, no, I better take this one, it's probably the small one of the bunch. Now, I would say that was very childish. That's very selfish.
I would agree. Yeah, and that isn't happening. I mean, I'm just like you. I have whitetails on the wall, and that's great. My wife has one whitetail on her wall, and I really want her to get a nice one this year.
That's awesome. I mean, that's the way to do it. Well, Aaron, man, thanks for joining us, and I really appreciate you letting us know where the powder is.
Absolutely. Happy to come on anytime.
All right. We're going to get him on. We're going to get him on for sure by the end of the year, because maybe we should have Mrs. Oelger on, and have her on to tell about the big bucks she's going to get.
That would be great.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. Go check out. Hey, where can they go find out more about Hodgdon powders?
Hodgdon.com.
Hodgdon.com. There it is, folks. All right, Gun Talk hunters, as usual, hey, keep those muzzles pointed in a safe direction, and always be on the hunt.